Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And today I have the awesome DeSantis. But before I bring him on, I just want to let everybody know if you like this content, if you like these videos, me interviewing these people, please hit like, hit subscribe, let your friends know, share out the videos. All right. Now, here is
There I am. Hello.
JM DeSantis. Now, JM, you've done a lot of stuff, a lot of awesome stuff. So please let us know, what you're doing, what you've done, and what you're all about.
Oh God, all of that, all in one, huh? All right. Well, I do have writus down at the bottom, which is kind of the title I accidentally gave myself. I write and I do artwork, so I do both. And I also about last year, the year before, started getting into publishing as well. So mostly horror and dark fantasy is the work that I do. But as far as what the publishing company that I own, Darkfire Press, they also do sci-fi. I guess some autobiographical, though I like mostly focusing on the creative stuff that way. Um, and right now it's very small. We only have a couple of small, well, one newish author, and two other guys that I've known for a while that kind of came on. Actually, you had one of them on already. George Medina was
Yes,
on like
George.
a week or two ago on this.
Yeah, about a
This
couple weeks ago. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. So we picked up his Wonder Duck. Well, actually, he kind of approached me with it. So um,
Wonder Duck is awesome.
yeah, no, I. It's a funny thing. Like I've known George a while. I don't think I read any of his stuff. And then he gave me Wonder Duck, but since I knew him, I was like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And I had already been moving it along. And then I read the book, and I was like, oh, George, this is really good stuff. So yeah, I know he's working on the second one, so I think he's pretty well along with that. Good stuff. But
I mean, so now when all right, let's go back because I know
yeah,
you're an
because
artist.
I'm talking
You've
about all
done
the
a,
publishing
all
stuff.
right, right. So let's go back a little bit. You're an artist. You're a
Yeah.
writer. You're a creator. You're an educator,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I
right?
do teach too. So
hmm
right now I'm doing
Um,
the whole teaching from
from
on the
home.
internet thing. Yeah. So
All right. So so there's a lot to unpack there. So let's go back. Let's go
right.
way back. So little itty bitty JM. I always like to start with the little people when we're tiny,
Uh,
right? So starting out, like when you were first really getting into, when you were growing up,
right.
what were the things that most influenced you? Like, whether it be comics or prose, what were the things that influenced you the most? Was it the writing? Was it the artwork? And what were the things that impacted you?
Yeah, that's a lot. With me, I talk so much. You're gonna need like 5 nights with JM DeSantis to get it all in. Okay,
Gotcha.
so where did I start? I do remember specifically drawing a lot of Darth Vader and Dracula when I was a kid. So yeah, my parents kind of raised me. I mean, I was just into a lot of those. Uh, I would say film and television was probably like the first thing that probably inspired me creatively. I got into probably comic book fifth, sixth grade, and then I was starting to make my own by about that point. Um, and yeah, I had my own superhero, which is weird because no, I hope I don't shoot myself in the foot here. I have no interest in doing superhero comics. So everybody who knows that about me usually finds it pretty interesting that I actually had a superhero. But yeah, like I was serious about it too. You got to picture this fifth grader who like his parents are seeing him getting all stressed out when the end of the month is coming. It's like, I got to get this issue done. It's got to get done. And they're like, but Jeff, you don't have any readers. Like I know you're serious about this, but like nobody's waiting for that issue. I was like, no, I have to get this done. You know, I have to be producing a book a month like everybody else is. So yeah, I think I did like 11 issues of that between fifth and sixth grade. Um, and yeah, that was around the time where I took a extremely long break from doing any kind of fan art. So I don't know that I really did much of it in high school and not much of it in college. I just wanted to work on my own stories. Um, I will admit, I mean, I guess the writing was pretty good, but I didn't really consider the writing part of it so much as of an art until I maybe got to like middle school, high school. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
when I realized, like, because I was reading, by that point, I was reading Battle Chasers. And I remember
Okay.
Joe Madureira was having other people write his book. And the same thing with Tom McFarlane. I was reading Spawn as well, and I was like, well, I don't want somebody else writing my story. I don't want. So I decided I was going to start taking the writing seriously. So then, about high school, I was starting to get more into video games. I didn't really become an avid reader of prose until like late high school, college, but
Mm-hmm.
then that kind of like took off. Actually, it's weird because in high school, I dropped the comic stuff. I wanted to get into the video game industry because I was getting so inspired by that stuff. And then that led into me wanting to do like, I don't want to say serious writing, that's so offensive, but like I wanted to do prose books, children's books, and that was it. And then I met a professor at Pratt who actually worked for Marvel for a number of years, and he showed me stuff like Mignola Hellboy. He showed me Alan Moore, and I was like, oh, I don't have to do like white guys in spandex with like these huge
Mm-hmm.
muscles. I can do like other things, and yeah, that's when I kind of came back into the comics. But I think I still wanted to do a lot of prose writing and such. Um, I'm sorry, I'm like giving such a big answer. I should
No,
find
that's
the
okay.
question. Yeah,
No, no. Like I said, it's a lot to unpack. So I mean,
yeah,
right now you obviously went to school and you got back into comics.
right.
Now, what? All right, so you got into comic art. Now, what type of training did you do? If did you get any training? You self taught?
Here's the funny thing. So I went to art school. I went to Pratt
Mm, okay,
Institute, which I hate calling it institute because it is a 4-year college. I have
right.
a bachelor's degree. But because I was still looking to get into video games, I went for computer animation
Mm,
because I was kind of thinking like I already know how to write pretty good. I know how to draw. I mean, I can get the foundation stuff and get better, which apparently when I got there, I realized they really needed to. But I figured like, oh, and I knew some programming from high school, which I
okay.
didn't like doing programming, but I was good at it.
Mm,
So I figured, well, let me learn another aspect of the industry. And I was only I don't even know that I was a full year in, and I realized like I don't want to do computer animation. But I didn't want to like take 5 or 6 years to graduate because I had some friends that were like either dropping out and going back, or they were switching majors, and I saw what was happening to them. And
mm,
I was not one of the people that really liked college, so I just wanted out in 4 years. So I just stuck with it and
mm,
got it done. But while I was in college, the guy that I knew that worked at Marvel, his name is Floyd Hughes, by the way. So I don't know. He did more backup work and stuff like that. He wasn't one of the big names back in the
mm.
90s. Um, not at Marvel. He's done a lot of big projects. I know he worked on the first Hellraiser movie too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got into his whatchamacallit, final project is like, because your senior year you do like a final project.
Right. Yeah.
Now for computer animation, you just do one. The illustration department, I think you do two. So I took one illustration final project and one for computer animation. So I did a graphic novel,
Mm,
did an animation that was connected to that. And actually, I just posted about this on Instagram. In my
mm,
free time, I was writing a novel, which I think I just did the word count on that. I got to find my phone because I posted it. But basically, it wound up being like something like, I don't know, 180,000 words or something, like the size of Moby Dick.
Yeah,
And
that's huge. Yeah.
I did that while I was in college in my free time. So, um, the short answer is yeah. I mean, I was self-taught and classically taught, I guess, but well, not
Mm.
classically, but at a school. But yeah, I guess I did a little bit of both. Just
All right,
wasn't
but
too
okay, but specifically, you didn't take any comic book classes. Like you didn't have any
I had
like
one class with Floyd that was whatchamacallit. There was a sequential storytelling class, and I did take
mm,
I had to take storyboarding for
right.
computer animation too. So
Mm.
yeah,
Okay, so
uh,
that's cool. So at least you got a good foundation.
yeah. I mean there was definitely stuff I had to learn, but I think no matter how good your education is, once you get like into it, that's when you're really gonna learn the stuff that you need to know. I mean, I'm
Mm.
still tweaking things now, and I'm 38 this year. Well, later in the year, but I'm 38 this year. So
Uh, I got you. Hey, listen, doesn't matter how old you get, you're always learning.
I hope so,
Yeah.
because when you stop, that's
Oh
when it
yeah,
kind of dies,
that's
you know.
exactly.
So yeah,
Look at it. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but if you look at Tim Vigil, right?
yeah,
I don't
okay.
know Faust.
I don't know him. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's done a lot of. He does mostly a lot of adult work. But if you look at his illustration from when he started in Faust and that stuff, and you look at him then, he was very well developed at that point. But you look at his stuff now, you know, it's even crazier. Like his
Yeah,
stuff is just like, he's like finishing pieces by Bernie Wrightson and then recreating Frank Frazetta paintings, but in pen and ink, you know,
yeah,
and doing a fantastic job. Like you could tell, it's like, oh wow, that's crazy looking. So, and he's in his 60s, and and it doesn't matter. You just keep getting better and better. All right, so
sorry.
let's
I'm looking over here because my cat she
oh
doesn't like getting held, but yeah, she's crawling around over here. So
uh there
yeah,
you go.
yeah,
That's a good looking cat.
yeah. She's kind of got an exotic look. She's got about every color in her that a cat can. So uh, yeah,
And she's nice and fluffy.
yeah, yeah, she is.
Now, tell me about Chariana,
Okay,
your
so
book.
yeah, funny thing about so talking about comics and getting back into comics, I almost left comics again.
Mm,
I had been doing it for so long, and I felt like I really wasn't getting anywhere in the industry,
mm,
which is, I guess, typical. You
yeah.
know, I mean, the vast majority. And I guess I was getting a little frustrated. I wanted to go back and do the graphic novel that I had done while I was in college.
Mm,
And I was pitching that around. And that year it was New York Comic Con 2017. I had done a image for my banner. Well, I did two. I did one of a vampire, and I decided I wanted to do a fantasy piece because up to that point, mostly I was doing like horror stuff. I was doing a lot of Lovecraft inspired stuff, even though I love vampires too. So I figured I'd do a vampire piece. And for
mm,
the fantasy piece, I had always wanted to do like a female character. Um, and I hadn't done a lot of females in my fiction at that point. And I decided if I was going to do a female, everybody's always doing like these big breasted white women with like blonde or brown hair. I was like,
uh,
well, that's not what I'm into. Why don't I draw a girl that, I would be attracted to? So I put this Indian warrior, on my banner. And while I'm pitching around my other graphic novel, people keep coming up to my table and they're like, "Oh, what's the story with the girl on the banner?" And I was like, "Oh, there's nothing. I just did a painting." But
mm,
after that, I decided, why don't I spend time actually developing this? So at first, it was going to be some one shot, really fast paced, like kind of light story, but then it always gets darker and heavier and
mm,
wordier with me. So it developed from there. So at this point, right? So because you asked like the whole deal with Chadiana, I mean
mm,
it's a dark fantasy series centers around Chadiana, who's the main character. She's kind of a female assassin warrior type. I think when I originally conceived her, she was probably a little bit more Red Sonja esque, in the
mm,
sense of that kind of wandering warrior type. Um, And yeah, I mean, the story essentially just takes her kind of through all of these dark fantasy stories and kind of this larger story that's going on, kind of concerning her past and her father and actually the organization that trained her too. Um, but all through this, she's kind of figuring out who she is
Mm-hmm.
and, kind of coming to terms with her past, kind of wrestling with that, her identity, those sort of things. So, yeah, I mean, I like to think it's pretty multi-layered. And yeah, I've been since 2012 was when I put the first one shot out, which is the cover that you had on
Mm-hmm.
the thumbnail for this. Yeah.
Now, how many issues do you like? How many issues do you have currently available?
Oh man, so people are gonna kill me for this one. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, so Chadiana is one of those things that I feel like it was off to a great start, and then I hit like a huge roadblock.
Mm.
After the first issue that I put out, I got picked. I was doing her origin story, Chadiana and the Company of Shadows, on Chadiana.com as a web comic, and then I
Right.
was in Baltimore. This was 2013, and I met Bill Campbell over at Rosarium Publishing,
Mm-hmm.
and they picked it up. And Rosarium, put out 5 issues. In
Okay.
fact, I mean, I can probably say this here because I never received any money for it. There
Mm.
was actually a Kickstarter a while ago, years ago, for Rosarium, where the Chadiana and the Company of Shadows, the first volume, was one of the things that got funded. Um, I mean, I don't like going into things too much. I've kind of said this in various places. Things weren't great in my personal life at the time, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the time to focus on the book the way I wanted to. And it was starting to be like I had a good outline planned, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I had really perfected my pre-writing on it.
Okay.
And that first book is really complicated. So I kept changing things as I went, and I felt like I
Mm-hmm.
was running into so many plot holes with it. So I stopped mid-story with that one. I am going back to it. I mean, it's still one of the most important stories in her series.
Mm-hmm.
But I parted ways on good terms with Rosarium because I said that I just didn't see how I was going to finish the book the way it was, and I had this new idea, which is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going to tell you about now. And we decided it was best if I just moved on. So and again, like perfectly fine terms. I'm still friends with Bill. We're
Right.
together and
Okay.
everything.
Good.
But yeah, yeah. So technically, there's 6 issues out, but I don't feel like the 5 with Rosarium are really canon anymore because I'm going to be
Mm-hmm.
breaking it up. I do have a new issue that was actually supposed to be out like a month or two ago, but
Mm-hmm.
then all this pandemic stuff kind of messed
Right.
with it. Yeah, the issue is Chadiana Rekindled.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not really like a reboot, but what I'm doing is I'm gonna go further into her story and I'm gonna have these individual issues with one shot stories that kind of move through some of her saga a little bit. This way, new readers can kind of get to know the character, and
Mm-hmm.
any returning readers will get new content, you know,
Right.
without feeling like they're losing ground. I definitely am. I'm going to make some references to Chadian, the Company of Shadows, but yeah, the new series is 5 issues, and I actually hired help to work on the artwork part of things.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
cool. Now.
yeah. So I have. I mean, as far as I've got a bunch of people. Some are still settling in as far as whatchamacallit covers go, but as far as
Mm-hmm.
interior artists, I mean, there's myself. I also have Dana Sangrier, who's fairly new. She's done some things, and then there's Jackie Musto, who she's done Lady Skylark, KNP. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. both web comics, and she puts out her collections of those as well. So.
Cool. Now, let me ask you. Okay, so obviously, you've been working on this for a while.
8 years.
Now, do you do a tight, like, how do you lay it out for yourself? Do you do a tight plot? Do you lay it all out? Do you draw a map for yourself? Different writers
Oh,
have
right.
different ways of doing this. Or do you just sit down and just start writing?
Well, I used to sit down and start writing, and see, that's why I wound up in trouble.
Okay,
Um,
gotcha.
yeah. I started getting more into synopsises as I went, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously, I hit a roadblock with Chadiana and the Company of Shadows as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But then I read, this is going back a few years ago, I read The Anatomy of Story by John Truby,
Okay.
and I actually found that to be the most helpful book on writing I have ever read.
Mm-hmm.
Because he gives you a way of outlining that and developing your themes and everything up front,
Mm-hmm.
that I found really helpful. And I
Okay.
prefer to outline first. I used to go, just white hot into it and then lose steam, and then the amount of editing I would have to do. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand, and all credit to them because they're very successful with it. I've heard both Stephen King and George R. R. Martin say that they don't see the point in outlining or writing a synopsis because then they've already
Right.
written it, and why would they
Mm-hmm.
want to then go and finish it? I feel like it's more like drawing out a sketch before I put down the paints and everything. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
can see the whole story before I start getting into it. So yeah, I do everything by hand.
Right.
Right here, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep a separate book for. Well, I keep a separate book for ideas. I keep a separate book for the outlines, and then yeah, I write out the even the script by hand. Yeah, I outline it scene for scene. With comics, what I'll do then is I'll break it down into what's going to fit on what page, and then when I write the script, it's panel for panel. Even when I'm writing
Gotcha.
for myself,
For yourself.
yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah,
Okay. Now let's move on to something else that is a little different,
yeah.
but a little bit the same. Gentleman Cthulhu.
All right, yeah, gentlemen can do this. So when I was having that those harder years when I was having trouble getting stuff done for Chadiana, I started up Gentleman Cthulhu. Well, part of it too was when Chadiana moved uh, to go under Rosarium and I wasn't doing the webcomic anymore, I liked having that weekly update.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided I needed to still scratch that itch, and Gentleman Cthulhu was what came, but I wanted something simpler than full pages. I had
Mm-hmm.
done a drawing, which I sold a long time ago, actually,
Mm-hmm.
um, of Cthulhu sitting in this, like, Victorian attire, Victorian era attire, in an armchair. Originally, it was going to be for a magazine I was doing work for named whatchamacallit, what Strange Aeons now. Oh, Kelly's going to kill me for this. Planet Lovecraft. All
Okay.
right. Planet Lovecraft. I wanted to do it as a cover. I wanted him to actually be sitting there reading the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and the magazine went under before I got a chance to do it. So when I was looking for an idea uh, for doing the webcomic thing, I thought, well, I could do this with, like, just this really quirky, like, 3 panel thing of jokes with him, and I came up with this really simple formula. I almost feel like I'm writing the same joke over and over again. It's like, there's some scene which is not
Mm-hmm.
always perfect, but then he kind of comes in and, like, comments on it, and he thinks he is doing, like, a world of good for the person or persons pictured in that
Mm-hmm.
first panel, and he just pontificates on, and you see kind of like the aftermath of whatever his advice or his changes or whatever, and it's always like more of a disaster. And he just ends it with saying cheers at the end, and uh, that's the 3 panels. Um,
Well,
everything
you
goes
got your
well.
you got your three acts,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um,
right?
but I always liked kind of the that clueless idiot in comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how I picture him. Like, and it works because he's kind of this otherworldly creature, so he doesn't quite
Mm-hmm.
understand the way things work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So let's now on to something a little different,
Yes,
but a little bit of the
I
same.
wear so many hats.
Robert Phillips.
Yeah.
Tell us
Robert
about
Phillips.
that.
Right. So that's actually I have that over here. Yeah. So Robert Phillips is actually my first prose novel. You can see it's all text.
Nice.
No pictures, except
No
for I
pictures.
did the cover. So it's not the novel I wrote when I was in college, obviously, because this is like 110 pages. That's
Now,
nowhere
what's the
near.
word count on that?
Oh, the one in on this
No,
one,
on Robert Phillips.
uh,
Yes.
Robert Phillips. I think it's about 30,000 words. So
Okay.
I wrote it when I was doing comics for Planet Lovecraft,
Hmm.
because I was still keeping up with my prose stuff in the beginning. So this was back in 2008. And I never knew what to do with it. When I wrote
Right.
the book, I mean, don't forget now, this is when I was just doing synopsis. It's not even like an outline. I put together a synopsis. I remember writing the book, and I was all over the place in the first half. Like
Mm.
it's about uh, two students at Miskatonic University, and one
Okay.
of them, this takes place in the 1930s, so it's kind of a little
Mm.
bit after uh, 1940s. Oh man, let me guess that. Yeah, late 1930s. I'm sorry. So it takes place after a lot of Lovecraft's own stories. So
Mm.
this is kind of post everything that's gone down in a lot of his stories.
Right.
The university is kind of known for some of the stuff that's happened. People know that they have an Necronomicon. So yeah, the character Robert Phillips uh, finds out that they have it, and he kind of gets obsessed with the idea that there might be translation errors in the Necronomicon, which I mean, if you know anything about linguistics and translations and stuff, I mean, like happens all
Mm.
the time.
Right.
So it's yeah. But I remember when I first wrote it, he was originally like a historian, and then he changed his major to studying myths, and then he was like
Mm.
gonna go into linguistics, and then double major. I think because I kept changing kind of how I wanted the story to get moving.
Mm.
Um, so when I went back, this was last year. Um, I basically, even though I had the whole thing written out, because I remember at the time I didn't even want to edit it. I was like, this is a nightmare. Like I don't want to have to do this. But
Mm.
I took it through an outline, worked out the themes, broke it up again into chapters. I actually used another writer's method for breaking up the chapters. It was the guy that wrote a lot of the Doc Savage stories. Apparently had a 1,500 word limit on what his
Mm.
chapters would be. So I kind of tried
Okay.
to do the same thing to keep the book
To
moving
keep
at a
it
good
to keep
pace.
it out of the room. Mm.
Um, yeah, and then I cleaned up mostly the first half. Like the first half
Mm.
got a lot of, but I essentially like rewrote the thing in 2 months,
Right.
and then decided to put that out.
Now, do
And
you work with an editor or any like do you have any first readers like like people
right,
you
I
pass
did.
it along to?
So for that one, I did. I'm Now I'll say this right now. I have all
Mm.
respect for editors, and I believe whether you're going to self-publish or not, you
Mm.
should definitely have one. It's a good idea. I, however, was really anxious to finally get a prose book out. Last
Mm.
year, I used a lot of time. I was kind of playing catch up. I put
Right.
out like 5 new books last year.
Mm.
Only one of them being the novel.
Okay.
But some of it was comics. I had a collection. But
Mm.
yeah, I had some beta readers just to kind of clean up the language and everything. But I didn't use
Okay.
a straight editor on that. I do
Mm.
have 2 other books, one novel, one's a short story collection that I'm working on now.
Right.
That yeah, I have specifically one guy in mind that I want to at least have do the novel. So
Mm.
yeah,
Okay, that's cool. um so let's talk about your publishing company,
okay,
Darkfire Press. So now,
yeah,
what
right,
all right, obviously you worked with a publisher at what point, right?
right.
And then
Well,
you
I've worked with some smaller guys too, but mostly for like short pieces.
okay,
Yeah.
so you work with some publishers. So now you
Oh, and
yourself
heavy metal. I'm sorry. I
You
should
work
throw
at
that in there.
Heavy
I
Metal
do
Magazine?
one thing for Heavy Metal Magazine.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Now, so you worked with these other publishers. Now you yourself are getting into that section of the business.
Right.
So what is it that you want to achieve doing that? That you feel that you can either like do better than these other publishers or just do differently? You understand?
Yeah. Okay. So part of it is nothing different, and part of it is a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
Darkfire Press was a label, not an official company at one point.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When I put out the second Gentleman Cthulhu collection, I decided it really should have a publisher instead of publishing as myself.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's kind of funny how this all happened. Like when I was trying to, it kind of fell together. I decided to, actually, register an LLC for it. That's all together and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started as just it was going to be a place where I could publish work that I just wanted to experiment with,
Mm-hmm.
um, or start up and build a following so that I could then take it to a bigger publisher. That
Okay.
was the original plan. So I did actually. That's probably the one thing I forgot to grab off the bookshelf. Yes, it is. I did a 8-page comic named The Tainted Ones, which is actually really good. I mean, it's like 99 cents on Comixology. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
has an excuse not to buy that. But yeah, that was like one of the experimental ones. Actually, the novel that I'm working on now is another one. It was just stuff that I wanted to be able to pump out fast. But then, me and Rosarium, we parted ways. So I figured, okay, well, I could do the next Chadiana collection under Darkfire Press. And then I had a couple of people approach me. Like I said, there was George Medina. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
know Anibal Arroyo, who's,
Yes, I know
yeah,
Annabelle.
'cause
Mm-hmm.
they're both linked up together. They were
Yeah.
doing that for a while.
Uh,
So both of them approached me. Another guy who still waiting on a book from,
mm-hmm.
and Luis Cruz. Do you know Luis M. Cruz?
I don't know Louise.
Okay. He's God, I'm terrible. It's his story, but I know he's well, yeah, I've met him before. He's disabled. He's in a wheelchair, but he writes. Yeah.
Okay.
So he approached me about um, publishing his book, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I decided I I looked at it this way. Like I was still going to do Darkfire Press for my stuff, but it
Right.
certainly would legitimize it more if I had more authors than just myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always liked the idea of helping other people out. Because even when you're really young and you're thinking like, oh, you're going to get to these like lofty
Mm-hmm.
goals, stuff like that, I still wanted to keep grounded enough that I was going to help people coming up too. So even though I'm not in like a great position to do it, I figured it was still an opportunity to kind of help people out. So I guess the only thing that I could say that I'm doing differently, um, I would say better than those
Right.
publishers, is I'm not taking any rights. Okay, so we
Mm-hmm.
take like Darkfire Press, which I keep as kind of a separate thing, makes a little bit of money off of the publications right now. It's all print on
Mm-hmm.
demand, so there's not a lot of overhead.
Right.
Um, but yeah, all the rights stay with the creators. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no subsidiary rights, there's no sequel rights. Right now it's just like a 3-year exclusive contract only for the published work. You know,
Right.
I mean, if there's something in the contract that if you do get it, video game or a show made out of it, at least have them put in it that based on the comic or book published by Darkfire
Bye.
Press.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't, I don't take any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the other thing is, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, there's not a lot of money to make in books, but it's more, the royalties are more creator friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So they get a bigger cut of it.
Right.
Um, so yeah, that's two of the things right there. Because I mean, here's my thing about it, right? So, I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, a lot of it's anecdotal because I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't around writing full time in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, but I feel like publishing companies used to do more. So, like, if you sold off your rights to a book, they
Right.
were going to promote it. They were going to
Hmm.
try to make a film out of it. They were going to try to do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, from what I understand and from what I've seen myself, it's like, yeah, okay, give us all the rights and you got to promote it. And if this doesn't sell well, well, then
Right.
we're dropping your book and you don't get published by us anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, what the hell is that? You know, I'm
Yeah.
making nothing off the royalties. I don't own anything, and then I'm the one that has to do all the work and put all the money into promotion.
Mm-hmm.
Unless
Yeah.
you're like J.K. Rowling, and then you don't have to worry about
Yeah. I mean, my understanding of when we're talking about prose publishers, not necessarily comic book publishers, is that they'll usually pay you some upfront fee.
it. Right.
It's used to, I think the base at one time was like anywhere from 10 to $25,000.
Yeah, that sounds
That
about
but my understanding is that base is shrunk to about five.
right. Hmm.
you know, so it's like, so you have even less of an incentive.
Right.
And then, and the only real reason, my understanding is to harangue a publisher to try to give you more money,
Yeah.
is because the more money they give you, the more money they have to recoup, so the more money they're going to spend to promote it. And that's actually what you want.
Right. But in business, there's called, I always forget the term for this. But
Mm,
basically, you have products that you know that you're going to lose money on.
right.
And you have your products that you know are going to make money.
Yeah,
So
you
any
have your
new
loss leads.
author, yeah, any new author they're taking on, unless they really think it's going to hit big,
Hmm.
they probably don't think they're making that money back. So I don't think they really care too much.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it's the 80-20 rule, right? You make
Yeah.
80% of your money from 20% of your product.
Right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. And that 20% is going to shore up that 80%. So you can put
Right.
some of that money back into that. Hopefully, develop some of these people into becoming something bigger than what they are.
Right. Right.
But yeah, but I, I'm a diehard self-publisher, so so yeah, I don't have no interest in going into it. But I've always been curious as to how it works.
Well, it's kind of funny. I moved back that way. I think
Mm-hmm.
when I was creating my own comics when I was a kid, I
Mm-hmm.
had my own comic company and stuff like that, and I think I thought
Right.
that's the way I was going to go. But as I
Mm-hmm.
got older and then I got into the prose writing, I was like, no, I want like a publisher. I want to be legit. I want to be as you know, um, stuck up and uh, you know as I can be. And yeah, then it just I think times are different. I mean, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say it's um, never going to happen. I mean,
Right.
obviously it will, but I don't know that you're going to see as many like huge writers that are just like pulling in millions anymore. Like I don't know, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it does happen, but I mean, I have uh some insider information. I mean, most of your successful, not famous, but successful
Mm-hmm.
writers are only making six figures.
Right.
They're not getting into seven figures.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's not even the high six figures, it's middle low.
Right.
Um I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think
Mm-hmm.
the market's so saturated. And I think it's a good time, right? Because like you could have 1 million followers and that's not even like 10% of the population, but
No.
still a lot of people.
So
You know
it
what
is
I
a lot of
mean?
people.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, I don't know. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's obviously people that are still doing very well, but I just don't know. I don't know. It might spread out a little bit more. You might have these little microcosms of followings with your occasional
Mm-hmm.
really big person, but um, I just never thought it was necessary either. You know.
Now, have you ever thought of crowdfunding?
So I'm worried about that for two reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, because I kind of went MIA after that after Rosariums. So I'm afraid
Okay.
people are going to be like, I'm not giving him shit. He didn't put out his book.
Well, but I mean,
Right.
you didn't
But
stiff him, did you?
no, well, no. I mean,
Right.
so that was all on that was all on Rosarium. But some people don't understand how it works. When I told people, yeah,
Mm,
I never made any money off of that, they're like, but wasn't it your Kickstarter? It was like,
mm,
no, it was the company's Kickstarter.
right.
No, but so the other thing is you really have to have a lot of people. So I
Yes.
remember I did. There was one other person, author or author team, two brothers that were putting out two different books, but they were paired together with Rosaria.
Mm,
They did bring in more people to that crowd funding campaign than I did, but I was
mm,
the largest single person
mm,
that brought in, and
right.
still, like, I didn't get enough on my own to be able to crowd fund a book if I wanted to. I
Mm,
think that's the thing. Like, I kind of believe in the rule of tens with this kind of stuff. Like,
okay.
you have to reach a certain amount of people, and
Mm,
10% of those will even check it out, and 10% of those are even gonna support it. So,
mm,
like, if you want enough people, like, if you need, say, just to my estimation, like, if you need 1,000 people, right,
mm.
you got to
Touch.
reach a lot
Yeah,
of
you got to touch
people.
over 100,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
mean, the one thing I've noticed is whenever you build, like I use a mailing list, to build up, fan interest or whatever. And I mean, you're looking at 2-3%,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, so I use MailChimp. I get
Right.
my analytics from them. I do a little bit better than industry average, but at the
Hmm.
same time, I'm not using my mailing list the way I really should. I'm
Hmm.
definitely more on social media than I am using the mailing list. I'm trying to get better with it,
Right.
but I mean, obviously, through this conversation, you can see like I got like a million things going on at once, and
Hmm.
sometimes one thing will just kind of fall by the wayside. And it's not that I mean to do it that way. I would love to have like um, like a PR person or something. But
Hmm.
maybe I need to look into that when I can make enough money off of this. But yeah, um, the mailing list. Yeah, I hear a lot of people say what you said. Like they get a lot of traction out of that, but you
Hmm.
still have to have a pretty big mailing list. You
Oh
know.
yeah, yeah. It takes time. It's like anything else. You just got to build it and build it and build it.
Well, look at it this way: for hard numbers, I mean, I'm
Hmm.
gonna sound like I'm really uh, underwhelming on the numbers. So if you're watching this, sign up for my mailing list. It's in the sidebar of jmdesantis.com. But yeah, I think I have 250 subscribers, and
Hmm.
I checked about 2 hours before this, 87 of them opened up the email.
Okay.
So, but I don't
Hmm.
know how many of those people have showed up.
Right.
I can't see a thing on the side, so I don't know who's here.
I, the thing is, you got to remember, most of these, like most people watch these things after.
Well, it's much, I
Yeah.
would imagine it's a lot easier to do it that way. I mean, especially nowadays. I mean, I don't always watch everything the minute it comes out.
Exactly.
I still haven't seen Castlevania season 3, and I only
Hmm.
finally just watched Stranger Things season 3 about 2 weeks ago. So,
Gotcha. All right. So is all right. So we're coming close to the end of this. So let me ask you another. Let me ask you a quick one.
yeah.
Is there anything that I missed that you wanted me to ask you? So is there anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to express to the
Nothing that you
fans?
missed, but really quickly, this shirt is not mine. This is for Manifestations podcast, written
Hmm.
by my friend Dwayne Farver. He also does a lot of the acting on it. Part of the
Hmm.
Ostium Network. I told him I was
Okay.
going to wear it because I don't have any swag right now for my stuff. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, Tractus is for Manifestations. I don't know. I got to go that way. Yeah. So yeah, that's him. Hello, Dwayne, if you're watching this now. All right. No, I mean the thing is I'm just kind of scattered, so I'm trying to think of like I mean, in the fact that like I'll just go off on a tangent on something. Trying to think of something that I've missed. Um, well, as far as Chadiana goes, so I can tell you this: like,
Hmm.
Rekindled is finished.
Okay.
I just decided to use the downtime to kind of do a little bit more world building and clean some stuff up with the writing.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would like to. I mean, that was supposed to be out in March or April. I would like to get it out within the next couple of months. The good thing about this, the silver lining, is I was able to get in contact with some comic book shops,
Hmm.
you know, because there was kind of a dearth in comics getting to shops for a while.
Yeah.
I can't say too much about it,
Hmm.
but yeah. So wanted to do like a shops first thing, but it's not like I have like this wide distribution. That was another
Hmm.
problem too. The book was done, and I was like, well, I can put it out in Comixology. And then I saw a lot of these, a lot of stores were like, anything we see going up on Comixology not coming to us for Jonathan's books. And I was like,
Right.
I don't want to be in that position.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I would like to do a shops first release. Um, and now my printer, Kablam, came back up this month. So, because they were down for April. So yeah, I would like to get that one out in the next couple of months. And then you have four more issues of that coming. The first
Hmm.
issue has three stories in it, standalone, and then me, Jackie, and Dana are each going to take an issue on our own to
Hmm.
do one story each. And I kind of crafted the story that Dana's working on for her, the story that Jackie's working on for her, and then we'll come together for another three-parter. And then I'm hoping still that collection of five issues will be out next year. But
Okay.
the individual issues uh, should be out print and digital um, starting in a couple of months, and then going through 2021, probably
Cool.
every quarter, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, Chadiana is never going to be a monthly book. That's the one thing with
Mm.
Dark Side Press. I have no interest in monthly books. I don't know why people want to read that. To me, it's kind of like reading a Penny Dreadful. It's like
Mm.
it's not good, and you throw it out. Like
Right.
I want something that's going to be able to last a little bit. So yeah.
Mm.
Um, I mean, he's a big inspiration, but I guess I imagine it more the way uh, Mignola's handled Hellboy. Like he does these
Mm.
mini arcs and everything, or sometimes these one shots.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
typically. I think they typically buy monthly. So when he doesn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dark Horse
Mm.
can afford to do that. I can't right now.
Yeah.
So,
Oh no, no, I got you.
yeah,
Yeah, trust me.
uh, yeah.
So, so I got a few more questions for you. A couple goofy ones. So we'll work on the goofy ones first.
Okay.
So now, if you had a choice of an artist, and I tend to ask these questions of just about everyone I have on. So if you had a choice of an artist, living or dead, to draw a cover for you for one of
Draw
your
a
books,
cover. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
illustrate a cover for you. Who would you pick? Who would you get to do illustrate your cover for you? Who would be your dream artist?
Other than the ones I have right now.
Yes, yes, they you
Okay.
can't include those people.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say Chris Campana, but he's already agreed to
Yeah.
do one. So
Mm.
God, that's hard because I have so many that I could choose for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, hmm, any artist.
Anyone, no budget, don't worry about money. If they're living, dead, doesn't matter.
See, if it was interiors, I would say Mignola. I still have like a story that I would love to hire him to do if I had the money. And yeah, at the time, I don't know that he's doing comics so much right now. Covers, covers, covers. I mean, I always, um, I don't know that he'd be right for Chadiana, maybe not. I asked him to do something once.
Mm.
Maybe Adam Hughes to do a
Okay.
cover. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I always like his
That's
work.
interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I know you told me you don't have any interest in superheroes, but if you got the golden ticket and they called you up to Marvel or DC or even any other one of these companies, and
Right.
they said, "Listen, JM, which book do you want to pick? Which book do you want to write, draw, illustrate? Which one would you pick?"
Okay, so I'm gonna give you two because if I could do one, I think Batman would be the easiest because he's the least superhero like. And
Okay.
I've always enjoyed the Batman films. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
movies, actually, I've more been a DC person.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually had a really great idea for a Ghost Rider miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know Marvel's not even going to listen to this, so who cares? But I might still try to work it into my own thing. Obviously, not doing Ghost Rider, doing something else, because the transformation is a
Mm-hmm.
big part of the plot. You know,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a werewolf story or something. But yeah, actually, if I could, I mean, I've got a great Ghost Riders miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that would probably be the one.
Okay. Ghost Rider's cool. Ghost Rider's cool. I got a few comparative questions, and then we'll just
Okay.
run through a few of these. All right. So you're a writer. So some of these you'll get. Some of these, if you don't know the people, you just pass. So Robert E. Howard or Fritz Lieber?
Oh, oh, well, you know what the funny thing is? So I've only read a comic adaptation of Lieber's work,
Hmm.
but Robert E. Howard all the way is one of my favorite writers.
Okay. Lovecraft or Poe?
So. Um, God, even though he was a terrible human being in certain ways, well, they both were. I mean,
Hmm.
what am I going to say? One was a racist, one was a drunk and a gambler. I would, but I'd say that definitely Lovecraft has had more of an effect on me, so I'll go for
Hmm.
that.
Okay. Godzilla or Gamera?
Uh, Godzilla, Gojira,
Okay.
as it's pronounced.
Uh,
Yeah.
Barker or King?
Hmm. Ah, that's hard because I respect
Mm.
both of them. So I feel like if I said one, I'm gonna offend the other. You
Well,
know?
that's the point. I don't think they'll mind.
No, I'm sure they're gonna be like, "Who the fuck is that?" um, Stephen King, probably. I mean, I've read more of his stuff and seen
Hmm.
more of his films, but God, I got so much respect for like Barker being able to do both. You know?
Kirby or Ditko?
Oh, this is gonna be blasphemous. I don't really care for either of them. I
That's
guess
fine.
I guess Kirby because he's had so much more of an effect on how comics have been read and illustrated.
Mm,
So yeah,
right. Asimov or Heinlein?
mm, I'm not a sci-fi guy. So,
Oh, okay.
um, but Heinlein is Dune. Is that correct?
No,
No.
that's Frank Herbert. Yeah.
All right.
Heinlein is Stranger in a Strange Land, Stormship Troopers. Um,
Oh, so
I
I
think
would
it's Cat's
probably go
Cradle.
with Asimov. Yeah.
iRobot.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. I don't know if this one. I don't know if this one would be good for you, but I'm gonna try it. Let's see. Don Bluth or Chuck Jones.
Hmm. I mean, I'm vaguely familiar with their work. See, this is
Mm.
got the wrong guy on for some of these. Um, I guess Blues. We'll go with Blues.
Okay. Well, here's one: Sandman or Swamp Thing. Now we're talking about Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and Sandman.
Swamp Thing.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, that's the end of the road. So, guys, thank you for showing up. And JM, where can people find you?
Oh wow, so many places. I mean, if you for the publishing stuff, it's darkfirepress.com.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's jmdesantis.com, which you just take out those dots and throw it together. .com, jmdesantis. And I also Gentleman Cthulhu goes up on gentlemancthulhu.com. And if you don't know how to spell Cthulhu, look it up. Uh, and Chadiana, I also have a site for her, which is chadiana.com. That's CHADHIYANA.com. Yeah, but JM DeSantis is my main page, and Darkfire Press is the main whatchamacallit page for the publishing. And both have social media links on the sidebar, so you can follow Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, on all of them. So, yeah.
All right. Cool. Now, listen, everyone, I'm going to have all that information in the show notes. So hit like, hit subscribe, share the video. Check out JM's stuff. The stuff is awesome. And, thank you so much for showing up. And I'll be talking to you all soon. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you. Good night.